And now the news is good with Matthew Martin.
I'm Matthew Martin, and the news is good. Tonight, against entitlement. I was reading Daniel not long ago, and had a thought come to me regarding the young men who were captured and brought to the service of the Babylonian king. These young men, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they were commanded to eat food that was not proper for them to eat under the law of Moses. So to get around that, Daniel says, let's do something different. Daniel 1:12, he says, prove your servants, I beseech you, for 10 days. Let us have pulse to eat and water to drink. So basically, he's asking that for 10 days, he be allowed to eat nothing but pulse and drink nothing but water. Pulse is a word used to describe food like peas and beans and lentils. In other words, he wanted to eat the most basic meal that he could that was still in line with his religion. It was not a glamorous meal. He wasn't asking to be treated better. In fact, he was asking to be treated worse. So take note, people who complain about things. Daniel felt his conscience and his obligation to the law was being violated by eating the king's pagan food. And in response, he doesn't say the king owes me something different and better. He said, just let me eat beans and water. Can you imagine a teenager so faithful to God, whose faith and reliance on God is so strong that he would prefer to eat beans and water versus the king's pagan food? Like, no teenager wants to eat beans and water. The lesson is, when your religion is violated and you ask for a solution, your solution should not come from a heart of entitlement, but from a sacrifice. Don't use your religion as a crutch to get swag. Daniel did not expect special treatment, better treatment. He offered worse treatment as a solution. He says, I don't want to violate God's law, so I will do the most humiliating and eat and drink the lowest kind of food possible just to avoid breaking the law of God. That's the lesson for us. As Christians living in a pagan world, we're going to find ourselves at odds with the norms and the cultural expectations around us. We're going to find ourselves in times where we're going to say, I can't do that. I need an alternative. And it is not our place to suggest a better alternative, a privileged alternative, an entitled alternative. Instead, we should say, I will sacrifice and suffer. And in so doing, we will leave a positive impression on those who belong at present to the different culture that we cannot approve of. And maybe by our willingness to sacrifice, we can shine a light. And maybe by our willingness to suffer, we can make those who are causing our suffering to feel some sense of guilt and compassion. And perhaps they might inquire of us what is in us to make us be so willing to endure such hardships. What God do we serve that we serve to such an extent that we would allow ourselves to suffer with a dinner of beans and water just to avoid breaking his law? And in so doing, we might teach them and we might convert them. So Daniel is a beautiful poster child, a beautiful picture of faithfulness in hard times, of resilience and perseverance when the opportunity is always around us to cave and to yield to social pressure. Don't yield, but also don't feel entitled because you're holy, because you're righteous. You're not holier than thou. You're not more righteous than anyone else. Just be righteous in the sight of God. And if you have to take less to stay righteous, be prepared to do that. God bless. This bench is falling apart. And I don't know if there's much that can be done for it anymore. You could replace the boards and, smooth the metal, but it's kind of a ship of Theseus thing. You know what I mean? Like, you replace one board, it's still the same bench with a new board. You replace two, it's the same one. You replace 3, 4, 5, eventually it's not even the same bench anymore. You've replaced every part of it piece by piece. It's a new bench. My prayer for you today is that you will let God make you a new person, and that you will not try to hold on to the old parts. You will not say, I don't want to lose this. You can replace this and that, these things that I don't like, but let me keep this thing over here and that thing over there. These things that I like that maybe you don't. You have to give your life entirely to Christ. My prayer is that you will give yourself wholly and entirely over to God so that he can evaluate, this has to go, this needs to stay, we need more of this and less of that, we need none of this and all of that. And let him just remake you piece by piece if necessary, because he looks at you and he says, before you're saved, you are falling apart. You're a hot mess, and he wants to remake you and fix you. My prayer is that you'll let him. If you already are a Christian, but it's been a difficult process over the past few months or perhaps years, maybe one reason is because you haven't let him remake you yet. Give yourself wholly over to him. Let him do with you as he wants, and see what good may come from it. See how he can help you be a new person. That's my prayer for you today. God bless. It's like having a dream. I want you to know, if I could fly, I'll pick you up, I'll take you into the night and show you love like I've never seen. Ever seen. Oh shoot, I forgot the thing.